The questions that made Freen and Becky blush. Their chemistry is beyond acting. Intro. When an interview turned into a moment. It started like any other interview. Lights flashing, microphones in place, and the usual cheerful greetings. But when Freen Sorocha and Becky Armstrong sat side by side, everything about the room shifted. You could sense the electricity, the quiet anticipation from the audience, the soft tension between them, the unspoken something that always seems to hang in the air when they're together. They smiled politely, waved to the crowd, but once the cameras rolled, it became clear. This wasn't just another press appearance. This was them, unfiltered, unguarded, and more connected than ever. The first question that set the tone. Describe each other in one word. The question was simple, but the pause that followed wasn't. Becky tilted her head, eyes flicking toward Freen. She smiled nervously, biting her lip. Just one word, she asked softly. Freen chuckled, leaning forward. You can use two if you can't help it. The crowd laughed. But Freen's tone, teasing, tender, made Becky blush before she even answered. Finally Becky said, safe. That's how she feels, like home, like safety. The room went quiet for a second too long. Even the host looked taken aback. Then it was Freen's turn. She turned toward Becky, eyes soft, voice low. Mine would be sunshine. Because no matter how my day starts, she finds a way to brighten it. The crowd erupted, laughter, cheers, clapping, while Becky tried to hide her face. But Freen didn't look away. She just smiled, calm and warm, like she meant every word. And maybe she did. The blush that broke the internet. It wasn't just their answers that captured hearts. It was their reactions. Every time Becky spoke, Freen looked at her like she was the only one in the room. Every time Freen teased her, Becky's laugh came out soft, helpless, the kind of laugh you can't fake. There was a question about who's more expressive with affection, and Becky quickly pointed at Freen. Freen laughed. Me? You're the one always holding my hand first. Becky froze, flustered. That's because you always make me nervous. The audience screamed, and the host, half laughing, said, You two don't even need us here. You're having your own conversation. The moment went viral within hours. Fans clipped the scene, slowed it down, and captioned it. When love hides behind laughter. Behind the scenes. What fans didn't see. Later, when cameras cut for a short break, someone backstage caught a glimpse of them. Becky was quietly fixing her mic, and Freen, noticing her struggle, gently reached over to help. No words. Just careful, soft movements. Freen tucking a loose strand of Becky's hair behind her ear before returning to her seat. Becky smiled. Freen smiled back. It was a tiny moment. Easily missed, barely a second long, but it became one of the most replayed clips from that interview. Because that's Freen and Becky's magic. They don't need grand gestures. They make ordinary moments feel extraordinary. When questions turn into something deeper. The host wasn't done. Let's say you could relive one moment from filming Gap. What would it be? Becky thought for a moment. Probably our first emotional scene, she said softly. I was nervous, but she made it feel easy. I didn't even realize I was crying until the director said cut. Freen looked at her quietly, a small smile forming. That was the day I realized she's special. Becky looked down. Freen looked at her. And the audience. Silent. Completely still. You could almost feel the air change. It wasn't just about acting anymore. It was about something real, something they maybe didn't even plan to show. Fans react. This isn't just chemistry. The internet went wild. Hashtags like hashtag Freen Becky interview, hashtag they blushed together, and hashtag not acting anymore dominated social media. Clips of Freen's voice softening when she talked about Becky flooded TikTok. Edits of Becky's shy smiles and Freen's steady gaze trended for days. One fan tweeted, If this is acting, then give them every award, because no one can fake eyes that full of love. Another wrote, It's not just chemistry. It's gravity. Even media outlets joined in, calling it the most genuine interview of the year. The moment that said it all. Right before the interview ended, the host gave them a light-hearted challenge. Say one thing to each other, but only using your eyes. Sounded silly. But when they turned to face each other, the room went completely still. Freen's expression softened. Proud, protective, loving. Becky smiled, eyes glassy with something unspoken. The crowd didn't move. No one breathed. And then Becky whispered, almost to herself, "You see me too much." Freen laughed quietly, replying, "That's because you're always worth looking at." And that was it. The end of the interview, the beginning of a moment no one would forget. Ending. Beyond questions, beyond words. When the lights dimmed and the camera stopped rolling, Freen and Becky shared one last smile before walking off stage. Side by side, laughing softly, like nothing about what just happened was unusual. But everyone watching knew. Something about it was different. Because sometimes love doesn't need to be declared. Sometimes it shows up in the way two people blush at the same time. In the laughter that lingers. In the quiet look that says you matter to me. And for Freen and Becky, that's what fans have always seen. A connection that doesn't need a label, just two hearts speaking the same language, even when all they're supposed to be doing is answering questions.